Okay, guys. Can't see my own chat. Let's see. Hold on. Here we go. Let's see. All right. Hello. Yay, I'm back. Hopefully the connection's better this time. StreamYard, when I turned around to look at the desktop, which is where we broadcast from, had an error message that said that YouTube's connection wasn't very good. So it wasn't me, it was YouTube. There was an error message I'd never seen on StreamYard before. Anyway, now I forget what we were talking about. I don't know. Somebody's going to have to remind me. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Linda. Hello, Petra. Hopefully everybody can migrate over here. I will say that I know from watching. Yeah, we're back. I will say I know from watching other broadcasters' lives lately that, hi, Lisa Hubbard. How are you? That I am not the only one that's had a problem with YouTube Live lately. So I don't know what's going on. I've seen a couple other broadcasters that have had issues and they've had to like restart live broadcasts because there's been connection issues or buffering or something. So it's not just me. Oh, I'm getting messages from a friend of mine who lives in Alabama, I think, that she's having bad weather. She just posted no tornadoes, I hope, or something like that. Let's hope not. All right. So we are going to continue making these little canvases, just abstract patterned canvases that will later turn into journal covers. And I may, add more to them at some point, but I may not. I mean, okay, for instance, this one, I kind of like where this one is going, and it may be when it's done, I just like it the way it is, and I don't want to add too much. Moon Tiger's Path, hello, good morning. I'm going to take my Bic crystal pen. Should put my reading glasses back on as long as we don't have any buffering issues or anything. Now, when you're doing these like sort of mixed media canvas pieces and it's, not anything that's ever intended to be watched, whether you have a primed, canvas like this one is or not, you can use anything on it. Water is never going to hit it. You don't intend on ever washing it, so it doesn't matter. And that being said, if you want to protect it, if it is going to be a journal cover, you can always hit it with a light coat of some kind of clear finish coating. You're all migrating back over here to the new broadcast. Yay. And this one does seem to be more stable than the other one. So woohoo. Try to keep my hand moving so y'all don't think I've frozen again. So I'm just using my Bic crystal to add just some kind of, I don't know, random marks, little X's, X's. I'm just gonna do that much for now because I like that where that went. Put it on the drying rack with the other one, and let's grab another piece. Because my goal is to not only use up some of this paint, but to use up these canvases. Again, like I said in the other broadcast, I have these pads of primed canvas, like artist canvas. And I think I bought them like years ago to experiment with. And then, they just sat in my art closet. And so I think what I want to do is use them up and make journal covers with them. So let's do this one. This is again a Tim Holtz stencil. Yeah, I like the nice, you don't have to fill up the whole thing to get a nice design on your piece of fabric. You can, just do a few marks. It doesn't have to be super busy and complicated. It can be if that's what you want, but it doesn't have to be. So again, I got a little bit of paint on my brush. It's probably still too much, and I have a tendency to be heavy-handed, so I'm just kind of tapping it off on the stencil until I'm getting almost no marks, and then I'll very lightly go in and do a swirly motion. That usually gets me a decent impression with the stencil. Not always, I'll be honest. Sometimes I still mess it up, but well, that's not bad. And right now I'm using sky blue light, yellow ochre, and yellow green. I don't know why. They're just the colors that appealed to me this morning. And when you have, if you're like me, you have all these like different art parts in your room, and they're just sitting in a closet somewhere, and you're not using them. We can't really go anywhere still. And it's going to be a while, despite the vaccine, when we can go somewhere. So, get those pieces and parts out of the closet, use them up, make some journal covers out of it. If it's fabric like this, make, some little gifted items out of it. I mean, I know a lot of people who I could make a handmade journal for them and send them, like a nice fountain pen, and they would love that for Christmas or for their birthday or something. And I'm sure people like that too. Make them a homemade gift. I appreciate those so much more 99% of the time than the store-bought ones. Hey, how are you, Shauna? And there's the whole let's use it up thing. We have, again, all these parts in our closet. Let's use them. They're just sitting there. You don't have to save them for someday, because maybe someday never comes. I hate to say that, but and again, as I said in the other broadcast, I'm using some of my own stencils. Like this is one of mine. Some of Tim Holt's stencils I grabbed this morning off of my rack, and some of Mike Deacon's stencils. Homemade gifts are great. I love homemade gifts. And, again, we've all got, if you're like me, you've got paper sitting in your art room in, piles. You've got fabric. Maybe you don't have this art canvas fabric. Okay, that's great. You don't have to. Just get out some cotton fabric that you have that you're not using for a sewing project. It could be plain or patterned. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You might want to prime it with some gesso if you have gesso, or some white paint. And then once you get that done, then you can make some of these journal covers with it. Maybe it already is just a plain colored fabric, and maybe it's like an off-white color, like what the natural color of this canvas is. But you still want to prime it white. Let's see. Just use up what you have. Now I'm paranoid. I keep checking the iPad, which is where I'm watching the broadcast from, and I'm looking at your comments from, because I'm worried that it's going to start buffering again. Anyway, use what you have. I was chatting with somebody yesterday and via text message, and she's really trying to go through her stash of creative stuff. It's become overwhelming, and she's having trouble finding things. She's trying to make sense of her room. I don't remember if she said she was moving rooms or not. She might have been. Anyway, she was asking me my advice because she knows I've done a lot of purging in the last, year or so. More than that, actually. Just you buy things in your part of your art journey because you want to try them. You think they're interesting. and then you try them, and sometimes you fall in love. But sometimes you're like, well, I have it now, I should use it, but I don't really like it. And you almost have to force yourself to get it out and use it when you are creating. Stop forcing yourself. If you really don't like it and it's really just not appealing to you and it's not something that you feel you can use up, then just let it go. Just let it go. I wasn't going to do this, but I want to do one more row of those in the middle. Petra, I think that sounds wonderful. That's a beautiful idea for a gift. I mean, to be honest, at this point in this stage in my life, I don't need more stuff. And when I do need something, I just go buy it. So I would rather have a handmade gift, even if it's a note. You know, a kind word goes a long way. And yeah, so the other thing with making homemade gifts, if you're, even if you're are writing a note, you're using up, if you're like me, you're using up old stationery, you're using up, you know, some of that fabric stash if you're making bags like Petra did, or like I'm doing these, you know, journal covers. And any of these that don't turn out that I don't think will work for a journal cover will get cut up and made into some of these small mixed media embellishments where I, you know, maybe sew them on the machine with some other fabric and trims or paper. And I may even do some sewing on these later. I mean, this is just the first stage. I just kind of wanted to show you guys, you know, the first stage in this process and have a little talk with you all about just, you know, again, using up what you have and not going out to buy something unless you really need it. One of the things that, you know, I've really learned by trial and error is I really like my handmade. I'm going to try to line that up kind of. Okay. I like my manual tools, my paper punches, my rulers, my X-Acto blades. I'm not a huge fan of the silhouettes or the Cricuts. So fun fact, I used to have a Cricut back in the day with the cartridges. Figured out pretty quickly I didn't like that. I gave it to my cousin. I don't even know if she still has it anymore. And you all know, if you've been watching me for a while, my kind of saga and journey with the silhouette, I ended up giving that away and actually donated that to charity because I just found it the most inefficient thing on the planet. It just wasted more supplies than it saved me time. And I would rather have paper punches to cut things out any day of the week than just waste my time with fancy tools. I'd rather have basic tools. So I have basic circle cutters now. I have basic paper punches. When I want to do something like that, I get out my basic tools. They save me time. They save me headaches. And they don't take up lots of room. I like the way that looks. I do want to add some green to it, but I like the way that looks. And I like Laura's comment, Petra, can I be your friend? That's funny. I don't know why these colors are appealing to me, except that although I do love winter because my asthma does great in winter, I am with the rest of you at this point and I would like spring to come. So maybe that's why. Now I am working on my table, which is covered, part of it is covered in a big piece of canvas. So at some point, this big piece of primed canvas, which I got from a friend years ago, is going to have enough marks on it that it too will get made into journal covers or little small mixed media embellishments or something. No problem, Michael Ann. I mean, you know, it's the decade of Mondays, so why I'm not surprised that, you know, things are weird, you know, nothing surprises me anymore. Expect the worst, hope for the best. Of course, I'm like that on a regular time, so, you know, I like that. Do I want to add pencil marks to that? Maybe. Maybe just my big pen. See, there's just something about this. You don't necessarily have to do more than this, but how cute of a journal cover would this be with some nice mixed media or a 70-pound drawing paper in it? And, you know, if it was one that I used or I sold in the Etsy shop, you know, this is the kind of cover that has enough on it that you could leave it as it is and have a cute little journal, or you could add, you know, more bits and pieces and customize it on your own, but you've got a good starting point. Hey, Barbara. Yeah, Decade of Mondays. It's a Decade of Mondays. If you think about it, I mean, it's just the Decade of Mondays. It's just, yeah. Even in my annual checkup yesterday, although everything, you know, I'm doing really well health-wise, and the doctor thinks I'm on the right track. We're waiting for the blood labs to come back, but she's not really expecting anything. She did put on there that, you know, I'm experiencing like COVID fatigue. I don't think she worded it that way, but there was something in there about that. I wasn't surprised she put that. I mean, you know, it's the Decade of Mondays. All right. I should probably turn my phone off because I'm filming some of this for the vlog next week. All right. What do I want to start with now? I think I want to start with this one. I know it's a spider web, but I think it's cool. But do I want to put something like solid and big in the background first? I might. I might not. Well, we're going to just go for it. What the hell? Yes, please thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Geez, 13 watching. Is that not more than we normally have? I normally don't get a ton of people in the broadcast. Maybe I should do Wednesdays more often. So if you are a subscriber, a viewer, a follower, a supporter, I do try to do a broadcast every week, but due to COVID and the fact that it's that time of year when I normally get, you know, medical checkups and we're having contracting work done at the house and all of those things, sometimes I'm not able to do the normal day. So I have to switch the days. I usually announce it over in a Facebook group chat that I've got to switch a day. I will try to schedule the broadcast, but this is my second time on today because the first one didn't go well. Buffering, a lot of buffering issues. Yeah, this is another Tim Holtz stencil, and it's called Shattered. I think it's just called Shattered. It says THS014. It's one of my favorite ones of his stencils. I've had it for a while. I do think it's probably still available somewhere. I mean, Amazon is the obvious place to look for things like that, but it's one of my favorite one of his stencils. Isn't that cool? I mean, yeah, Wednesday seems to be going well. Might be a better day than Tuesday. Okay. You know, I got to be honest with you all. This yellow ochre color is not one I usually gravitate towards a lot unless I'm needing it to highlight something or accent something, but I'm liking it today. I think it's just because it's reminding me of sand. Hey, Donna. Okay. So if there's a particular day of the week, like maybe Wednesdays work better for you all than Tuesdays, let me know. I'm up to changing the day. I mean, but the days do fluctuate a little bit depending on my schedule. And like I said, what's, going on. Due to COVID, when I have to get checkups and, have lab work done, I have to do it when they have time. Which seems to usually be Tuesday. I'm okay with Wednesday. Wednesday works for me. Okay. Next, I'm enjoying using these stencils on here. You know, I haven't just done some like stenciling and like free painting in a while. I have a lot of stencils. I love my collection of stencils. It's one thing I don't purge often. That being said, I used to have a lot of like 12 by 12s. I do still have some, but I don't use them. I like the littler ones. Acrylic April. Nell, do tell us what Acrylic April is, because I haven't heard of that. I have no idea what that is. So tap and swirl, tap and swirl. By the time you do the swirling, you just want just a little bit of paint on your brush. Again, this is one of Mike Deacon's stencils. Okay, Donna, thanks. And okay, Michael Ann. I always try to let you guys know in a Facebook message if we're connected on Facebook. I have a friends chat, a couple of friends chats, and I try to let you guys know over there when I need to change a day. If you're a patron or supporter, I try to let you guys know either on YouTube membership or over on Patreon. I try to, you know, hit all the bases and let everybody know. Who's running Acrylic April now? I haven't heard of it. This is the first I've heard. I do want to tell you all, if you haven't heard yet, I am going to be doing a class. I think early bird pricing is out already with Bea Grob, Chelsea, Peg Robinson, Petra Fuchs, and Marie Linder. The class starts June 1st. And I think the early bird pricing is out already for that. It's called A Colorful Art Journey. And I think I brought something new and different to it that you all might enjoy, hopefully. I'm not sure the link is in the video description, but I'll add it after the broadcast if it's not. You can probably find it by Googling Bea Grob, a colorful art journey. Bea is her first name, and Grob, Grob, is her last name. Oh, it's a good idea for a challenge. I like the way that one looks. Holy cow, that's cute. I like all of them. What is with me today? All right, let's see. What other marks can we add to this, or do we want to add to this? Do I want to do maybe a few of those? Maybe. Need some more green paint. Oh, like Inktober. Okay. Do we want to do stencil, or do I want to just do? I don't think I do, actually. I'm fighting with myself, and I shouldn't do that. So I never have a plan when I do these. Never, never, never. I'm just going for it. You don't need to have a plan. And again, if you don't have any fabric and you want to try something like this, you know, wait for like a Joann Fabrics coupon, 40% off. Go to the back section where they have their duck cloth, and they have plain colors of duck cloth, and you can get canvas or duck cloth that's the same color, that's nice and thick. Okay, wait, Nell, you got injured? What did I miss? I missed something. Are you okay now? How did I miss that? How cute would a journal cover that be? Like a cute traveler's notebook. Nell, if you're like me, you have plenty of fabric. Yeah, I have to be working on something really specific that I seriously do not have fabric for me to even think about it. Cause yeah, I have so much. I still have so much, and I've gotten rid of so much. Now, when you're doing these kind of fabric pieces and you're not really waiting for the paint to dry, like I'm not, definitely don't use an expensive pen. And even if the acrylic paint is dry, it can clog up your pens. So be pretty careful about drawing over the paint. This is just a cheap Bic crystal, so if it gets clogged up at some point, it's not a big deal. I wait until like back to school, and then I buy them like 10 for $1. Oh, Nell, I am so sorry. Yeah, so that's a good tip, Barbara. Yeah, if you have a thinner fabric, you can always put something fusible on the backside to make it thicker, and give it some more weight. You can also cover it with a couple coats of like gesso or something to like give it some more weight. The clips help. Oh, good. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I like the way that one looks. I'm going to stop putting marks on that because that one looks good. Next. Another piece. All right, we're going to go back to this stencil because this stencil is really cool. And this is, can I read what's on this on the bottom? Let's see. It says THS079. It doesn't have a name on it like the shattered one does. And stencils are something that when I am buying a new one and adding to my collection, I really kind of look at it and see, is it a design I can use more than once? Is it a design that's very different from things that I already own? Because at some point your collection gets to be so big. And the designs, no matter how new and unique the designer may think they are not that different than what's already out there. And so I really just kind of do a double check and think. And I usually, I move that just a little bit, put things like in my Amazon shopping cart, and I'll just leave them there for a while until I can go through my, like, say, stamp or stencil collection and just really make sure that I don't already own something that's similar. Yeah, this is a good one. So this is, again, Tim Holtz, THS0. It says 079. It doesn't have a name on it anywhere like the other one did. And when you are working on like projects like journal pages or something, you could have a piece of this fabric either underneath your work surface like I do right now, or just off to the side. And maybe instead of wiping your brush off on a piece of paper, maybe you wipe it off on a piece of fabric. At some point, it's going to make a composition that's interesting and that you might be able to turn into a journal cover or something. Yeah, I like the size of the Tim Holtz stencils. Again, I like the smaller stencils. I do still own some large 12 by 12 or bigger stencils. I don't use them often. And they're designs that I just can't find anywhere else normally. But my preference is to grab these smaller ones almost always. I need more blue paint. I was trying to make that stretch, but it wasn't just not going to go. It was just not going to happen. And this, of course, is one of my stencils. I don't remember the name of it. Is it etched in the side? I don't know. So again, your idea for these is just to make a pattern, and it doesn't even have to end up being a pretty pattern, to be honest. Maybe it's something that you don't end up liking as a whole as a journal cover, and when you kind of fold it in half, you're like, ew, that's ugly. But maybe when you do this and you look at this little piece, you're like, oh, that's interesting. I could do something with that. So then maybe you cut it up and do some kind of embellishment with it. Yeah. So Barb, they're just too big for me. And I'm, like mine are like right over there with they're with my other stencils. They're really big and bulky. And most of the time I'm working on small projects. As I was purging and doing art and learning mixed media, some truths about myself I discovered were, one, I detest charcoal and pastel. Two, I dislike working on gigantic journals. When I first started working on mixed media and art journaling, I, for some reason, thought your journals had to be big. And my first couple of journals, which are mostly like from the Lifebook classes, are huge, like 11 by 20 or something. They're gigantic. I dislike working on huge, gigantic journals. It just really is not my thing. And I'm glad the clips worked, Nell. Anyway, so, there's some truths about my thing. I dislike working with pastels. I kept a couple that I know they're colors I would enjoy adding to projects at some point, so I kept them. But most of them went away because I just realized when I discovered my own truths that they're just not my bag. Ooh, what if I break out a new color? Haha. I have a gray. It's neutral gray, value 5. Yeah, so the big journals are just not my thing. They're just not. And that's okay. So I have some of the big journals with the paper in them, but I end up cutting them up to make these smaller ones, which is fine. I'm going to do that just because I can. Oh, see, all my brushes are like, the paint is coming off the handles. The ferrules are loose. Like, I'm terrible with brushes. That's another truth about myself. Don't give me an expensive brush because I'm going to mess it up. I'll leave it sitting in water too long. I'm going to get paint all over it, and then I'll feel bad because it costs a lot of money. Like, so I just don't buy expensive brushes. And some people love the big journals, but they can't do the small journals, and that's totally okay. I just know for me, the big ones are not my thing. And when I work big, I work on a canvas at the easel. And maybe that's why. Yep, I like that. Let's put some numbers over here. Over there. Okay, see, so for instance, like, a lot of my brushes are like that, and I end up gluing the ferrule back in a couple times, which I'll have to do with this one. Yeah, I'm just terrible with my brushes. So that is, Donna, it's Liquitex Basics Neutral Gray Value number 5. It's a nice, light, warm gray. I would classify it as a warm gray, not a cool gray. That's the other thing. I love my acrylic paints and my watercolor paints, but I like working with matte finish or gouache paints in my art journals. And I like working with the regular standard artist acrylics on my easel, but I have too much of both. And so trying to use up some of those has been another thing that I've been doing. I get rid of sometimes if there's a brand or type or finish of paint I don't enjoy working with. But for the most part, I'm just trying to use up what I have, and I'm not buying anything. And if I, for instance, run out of this gray, I will just mix some, which I've been doing. I do know how to mix paint. I just get lazy. I'm the lazy, messy crafter. I'm not the frugal crafter. That's Lindsay Ryrick. So you can take these once they're dry and, of course, add more marks to them. You can decoupage tissue paper, napkins, dictionary paper to them. You know, there's a lot you can do to them. You can sew around the edge or not. You can add trim to it. I just like doing this. I don't usually finish the edges. If like some of the strings come out, I just pull them off. Yeah, Lisa. So I prefer like Princeton Neptune watercolor brushes. I like a synthetic brush. And but even with those, I don't usually spend too much money on them because I'm really hard on my brushes. Okay, next. But you can take a loose brush like this, as long as the bristles aren't falling out. If the handles come out, take this, shove a bunch of E6000 down there and stick the handle back in and let it dry, and it'll be fine. It'll work for, I have one, I did that like 5 years ago. It's still working. This is a Stippler brush, Lowell Cornell, I think, Stippler brush. But see, yeah, the handles, it's left in the water too long and the paint peels off the handle and then the handle gets loose and yeah, it's just a crazy nightmare. All right. Where next? Let's do this one. We haven't done this one yet. This is one of my stencils. What did I call this one? Single cell. It looked like an amoeba to me. Okay. Oh, need more yellow ochre. Okay, tap, 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 tap. Get some of that paint off the brush. And then do some light swirls. That was probably a little bit too hard at tapping, but we'll find out in a minute. That's all right. Oh, no, not too bad. So yeah, I just want to encourage you all, we're kind of all stuck in anyways, right? Still. So, go into those dark recesses of your craft space. What are some of those pieces and parts and products that you haven't gotten out in like forever? Can you create with them? Can you make something interesting with them to keep, to use, to gift? Or does it maybe just need to go on to somebody who's going to love it more than you are? Lord knows I'm still finding stashes of all of that. And if you need, thoughtful encouragement when it comes time to purge your space, well, we as a art community are here for you. And as I said earlier, I had somebody just yesterday that was messaging me because they need to do their space. And they were asking for tips. The biggest thing is when you're going through your art supplies, do one category at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself trying to do the whole room. Believe me, I've done that before and it doesn't work because then you just get overwhelmed and you don't get rid of anything. So do one category, whether it's paint or paper or canvas. I can guarantee you right there, that's too much paint. Whether pens, maybe mark making tools, punches and stamps, whatever it is. Do one category at a time. And really go through that category and pull out the things you know you love that you use every single time you create, you grab for that thing. That's the thing you keep. Look at what's left. Okay, I really dislike these. I hate using them. They make me crazy every time. I want to just toss them in the trash can or throw them at somebody's brain. They just make me nuts. Those go away. The ones that you're not sure about, in my opinion, hang on to them a little bit. Maybe set them aside in a box or a space. And when you are creating, if you go back to any of it, then those you keep. And then after a while, the rest of them you get rid of. Yeah, so I don't disagree with you. So at some point they turn into a glue brush. And then after that, if they get really bad, like this one's probably right about there, they become sort of a art salvage piece that you use for something like a brush person, or we did a art sort of paintbrush exchange a couple of years ago, which was a lot of fun. I'm going to do this one again. It's really great when you have to buy new tools because you've, used up something, or, you've gotten the last bit of life out of your paintbrushes. They don't last forever. If you can, of course, wait for a sale or a coupon. I used to love it when Michaels and Aaron Brothers, who is owned by Michaels, had their buy one, get one free sale, because that's when I would go replace some of my messed up brushes. I don't even know if they do those anymore. I like folk art paintbrushes. I like Princeton paintbrushes, and I like Lowell Cornell paintbrushes. I do own a couple of these Simply Simmons brushes, and they're okay. I have them, so I'm going to use them. But I do like a synthetic brush. I'm not a natural brush girl. I think because when I learned to watercolor, I learned with a synthetic brush. And so now for me, when I'm watercoloring especially, and I'm trying to use a natural bristle brush, they work differently. And I know for some people they prefer it because they hold more water and all that, but I'm not used to it. I'm sure I could get used to it, but I just have like the patience of an ant. So that might be stress, and I get it, believe me. I think all of our muses are taking occasional or frequent sabbaticals or vacations. Sometimes you just need to not, necessarily be inspired. You just need to create something, and these sort of abstract, just little pieces of fabric, that works. You don't need to have your muse be inspired by anything in particular. Just get out some paint and some stencils and just start creating. And, and I talk about this in my vlog, but, sometimes painting is not enough. I use my painting and art as a release for my anxiety, but things are such that sometimes that is not enough. And it's one of the reasons I started going for walks around the neighborhood. We have the duck pond nearby, and we are near a community park with a river, and we live in a really nice neighborhood, friendly family neighborhood. And so I just go walking around the neighborhood and just get some fresh air. I have my phone with me and I do vlog while I'm walking, but I don't have the radio on. I don't, unless it's somebody calling, like family lately has been sick or injured. And so then if it's one of them calling, then I will answer the phone because it might be an emergency. But for the most part, I'm just in silence, and it just lets me sort of recharge. It's playing in the dirt outside. That works. Michael's is stopping the coupons. Yeah, Hobby Lobby already did. Joann's, I think, is still doing them, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Princeton brushes. So whether it's their acrylic brushes or it's their watercolor brushes, my two favorite brands are Princeton and Folk Art. Now, Folk Art used to be way more popular, and so you could go into the display and just buy one or two brushes. Now I think the only way to get them is in a pack. But those are my two favorites. Neither is expensive, even if you have to pay full retail. I'm going to hold this down by the ferrule because it's so loose. And yeah, sometimes your muse goes on vacation, and so then you need to do like what Kathy's doing and go work in the garden, or go for a walk, or something like that. I mean, don't beat yourself up about it. We've all been there, and or are there currently. It's okay. And that happens during regular times, much less the decade of Mondays. My mother is calling, and it's probably just to tell me like good morning or something, and I'll call her back when we're done. She doesn't know how to use her new phone. So that's a thing. Okay. Let's see. Next week it could be Prince and Lisa Hubbard. You're so funny. Yeah, I stopped trying new brushes unless something that's a favorite of mine is like not being made anymore. Then I would have to investigate trying some new brushes to see which one I like. And to be honest, I would probably just purchase like a 1/2 inch flat in a couple of different brands to try them and see which one I like working with, and which one kind of holds up over the long haul before I buy a whole bunch of brushes. That I've also learned, don't buy a whole bunch of something that you might not like. I'm always, open to new ones, but for the moment, I'm just really kind of not looking because I do have a particular couple of favorites that I like. I have plenty of brushes at the moment. I don't really need to buy new ones. Like has been said earlier in the chat, I'm really hard on my acrylic brushes. They get really narfed up really quickly, to borrow a phrase from Shannon Green. And so they really just have to be literally falling apart for me to just have to go replace one. The ones that I always have trouble finding are the Stippler brushes. Those are like usually kind of challenging to find. This one is my favorite. This is a folk art. It's called a Scruffy Brush. And they are a kind of a Stippler brush in that they have very short, very stiff, dense bristles. And they're great for stenciling and scrubbing and blending your paint. But the Princeton, the folk art brushes are something you almost have to just mail order because they're just almost folk art sort of out of, their brushes at least are kind of out of favor, I think. And they're hard to find at the stores because there's just not that many places that carry them. And when they do, they have them in only packs. So you have to buy like a whole pack of brushes. So I try to just buy a whole pack of stippling brushes. There's lots of brushes out there. You have to, like with paint or anything else, decide what your budget is, pick an amount, and then try to find something that fits in that budget. Don't feel like to create and be a wonderful creative, that means you have to have, paint brushes that are like $100 each. You don't. Trust me. I've had those, and you know what? I just liked working with them. They are not my favorite. I am a cheap brush girl. Oh, see, I like that. That's a cute one. That is a really cute one. I could see this bound and up the center, maybe use like this. If I have some thread that's this green color, that would be cute. Oh yeah, I like that. I'm going to stop there because I like the way that turned out. Walmart has them. Lisa Swank, thank you very much, because I'm always looking for them. The Stippler brushes I use a lot. That's like Princeton Neptune 1/2 inch flat and the Folk Art stippling brushes, my two favorites. Wow, has almost an hour and a half gone by already? Wow. Yeah, I prefer there's some really good synthetic brushes out there, and you don't need to spend a lot of money. I do have some other mark making tools. I've just been stenciling, but I did pull out like this wine cork. This is good for making dots. I should say champagne cork. Okay, it is good for making dots if you don't slide it around and have too much paint on it. That's okay. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Yeah, time really does fly when you're having fun. Do I want to? Let's see. I think I want to do this. This is just cardboard. Didn't have enough paint on it. Because I'm trying to be delicate. Why am I trying to be delicate, people? There we go. Delicate my fanny. So that's just cardboard. Oops, that's not the color I wanted. Okay. And I have a piece of a silicone pot holder. My phone is just going crazy this morning. All of a sudden. You can use anything as a mark making tool. Mark, I can't keep track of the date 99% of the time, and that was before COVID. So this is a wooden stamp I got from somewhere, and to be honest, I don't remember where. I might have picked it up at the craft store. I don't know. Oh, it does have a mark on the side. It says mini wood block. I don't know. It was $5. Somebody could have sent it to me. I don't honestly remember. And let's see. Let's try this one. This, I think, will be our last one today. I'm going to use up the paint that's here on the palette that I have out. It's probably a good thing this is our last one because my phone is going insane. Just using up like all of the paint that's like on the side of the paintbrush. I hate to waste paint. Yep. Okay. Yeah, now I will check it. Yeah, it's probably not important because I know my family and there's just some, what can I say? There's some family drama going on this morning. And my opinion isn't going to change anything. So that's all I can say about that. All right. And one of them is my daughter, and I think she's coming over to look through my hoard/stash of storage bins because she said she needs a couple of bins or something at her house. And before she goes to buy some, she knows her mom has a hoard of storage bins. Mom, do you have anything that would work for this? And can I come look through your stash tomorrow? And I think that was probably just a message from her saying she's coming over. Thank you, Michael Ann. I wasn't, necessarily intending on using these colors, but I have to agree with you. I kind of like them and where they went today very much. I have to admit, I'm a little surprised. It might be that I'm channeling, wanting to go to the beach. Because although I love, winter and I love the cold, it's great, like I said, great for my asthma. I don't like it super hot, but I do love the beach. And so it could be that I'm channeling wanting to go to the beach and spring. All right. So I think that's it for today. I want to encourage you all to, get out those pieces and parts in your art room that you haven't used in a while. Get them out. Take a fresh eye to them. You don't have to have any intention with the fabric. If you have fabric like this, just paint on it. Just get it painted. It's not doing you any good stuck in the closet. But maybe when you do get it painted, like even this one, you might look at it and go, I don't know if I like that one as much. But then if you take it and fold it in half and do this, that's a cute journal cover. You could also do this, and that's a cute embellishment, right? You could also make them into a journal that's full of fabric pages. And you can add words. I might add, collage words and stuff to them later. But anyway, I want you to get all those little bits and pieces out of the corners of your art room that you have. Use them. Use it or lose it. It's not doing you any good just sitting there in an art room, never getting used. I have these visions of when someday, hopefully a long, long, long time from now, when I pass away, my daughter wanting to dig me up and yell at me because I have this hoard of art supplies. And she's wants to say, WTF, Mom? Yeah, so I don't want to be that person. So, I want to encourage you all to use what you have and, just we all, myself included, need to be more conscientious about what we do buy and why we're buying it. And I'm not saying that to lecture you all. I'm lecturing myself because I'm just as guilty as anybody else. Really think about whether you really, really need it or not. And if you are trying to de-stash, you're trying to lighten your load in your art room, you're trying to figure out ways to use new things. Well, you know, first of all, follow me on social media. And if you're friends with me on Facebook, then you can always, you know, message me over on Facebook. We do have a couple of creative friends chats over on Facebook. One of them's for patrons only. And so if you're a patron and you're not in that chat and you're on Facebook, let me know. Support the free content here on Facebook or YouTube and over in the Facebook art groups, not just for me. Any of your favorite creatives, they probably all have a way to support them, whether it's merch or an Etsy shop or something. And so think about ways to support them. They probably, like me, have ways in their video description, so check that out. Not the least of which is my Etsy store and my art foamies. Hey, Anne, you're joining us. I'm leaving. I'm sorry. I want you all to be kind to each other and remember, again, to support each other if you can. Times are tough right now for all of us. And please stay safe, stay healthy, stay creative. Please go out and do something nice for yourself because you deserve it. And I'll see you later. Bye, guys.